response to a global energy price volatility. The least cost optimization, in short, we call it LCO, scenario is a technology neutral optimization applied to the power sectors, reflecting all potentially viable technologies in emerging economies, such as ASEAN. This scenario considers the cost effectiveness, affordability, and maturity of technology to fulfill growing electricity demand, including the deployment of energy storage and interconnection. I believe the IO7 team leader, Dr. Zulfikar Junaidi, and his team will further share with you regarding the findings. I sincerely appreciate the tireless effort of our in-house team, the active collaboration with the IMS working groups, and the strong support from our partners. We trust this report will be a valuable key reference for the ASEAN energy sector. I hope this report will also generate opportunities for more collaborative partnerships with DPs, IOs, and relevant stakeholders to advance the ASEAN energy sectors. Again, thank you very much for joining us today. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you, Yamia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nurki Adiautama, for your remarks. Now, before we move on, we would like to have to hear your thoughts, or probably if you already read our AO7, this time will actually be easy for you. But I think I would just want to hear from you whether you already read, and then whether you already understand, or maybe some preliminary research before going with this webinar. So without further ado, we provide 4 different questions that you can actually answer. So let's get into it. The first questions that we have is, in the AO7, there are 4 scenarios as mentioned before. So probably if you heard from our ED Nuki remarks, he mentions the latest editions of the AO7 scenario. So let's get into it. I would give 15 seconds for all participants to answer. So there are 4 options that we have. First one is SDG scenario. Second is the LCO scenario. And then we have NZA scenario, and also TES. So please choose which one that's the scenarios that are being featured in AO7. Okay, 15 seconds is up. May I check with operators? What's the answers? And the answers is least cost optimization scenario. So as you can see, there are 43% people. So we are happy. So probably after this, we can actually discuss a little bit more about it. And then let's go with the second questions. Okay, the second question is about the target attainment of ASEAN. So based on the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Operations, we have 3 different targets that were set on the APAC. And then there are also projections that has been done by the AO17. So the question is, which regional targets will be achieved by 2025 under the ATS scenarios? There are 5 answers. RE, or renewable energy in TPS, RE in installed capacity, energy intensity reductions, and then probably none, maybe, or all targets were actually achieved. 15 seconds starts now. So hopefully, can we check the answers? Oh, there are a lot of optimistic participants now. We see that 25% putting on all targets by 2025. Hopefully so, but the answer is the RE in installed capacity that will be reached, projected, will be reached by 37.9%, or overshoot by 2.9%. So congratulations for those who already answers correctly. And the next question. The third questions. So as you can see, there are a lot of demand side contributions to the energy consumptions. Out of these answers, please choose one that you think contributed the highest for energy consumption. So we have commercial and international transport. We have industry and commercial. we have transportation and industry, and the last but not least is international transport and electricity. So please be careful on how you answer it. Okay, the answer is transportation and industry. Congratulations for those who answers correctly. So indeed that we have the answers would be that. And then the last but not least for the last questions. Okay, so based on AO7 LCO scenario, there are two types of new technologies emerge along with the power capacity expansion in ASEAN. What are the two types of new technologies? There are first biomass co-firing and CCUS, hydrogen and nuclear and battery, and then last but not least is pumped hydro storage and hydrogen. So please, 10 seconds. Okay, so the answer is nuclear and battery. So I think there are a lot of people still mistook it, but don't worry. This public webinar is set aside to respond to your curiosity as well. So later on in the scene setting presentations, Dr. Zulfikar and Rika Safrina would actually explain a little bit more about the key findings that we have. So thank you so much. Now we would have the first scene setting. So thank you so much here before. And we would have the first presentations that will be done by Dr. Zulfikar. And without further ado, Dr. Zulfikar Yurnaidi is the team leader of the AO7. So basically he's the mastermind of the AO7. And at the same time, he's also a senior officer of the Renewable Energy Department here at ASEAN Centre for Energy. And then we also featured Ms. Rika Safrina as a chief editor of AO7 today. So without further ado, Dr. Zulfikar, the screen is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Amira, for the very kind introductions. My name is Zulfikar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us. On behalf of the AO7 team, please allow me to provide the synthetic presentations for today's first public webinar for AO7, titled The Navigating Energy Transition in ASEAN. Next slide, please. Right. So the second ASEAN Energy Outlook is introduced by our executive director and also as hinted by Amira and Chris just now, comprised of 4 scenarios. The 3 are coming from the previous ASEAN Energy Outlook, which are the baseline scenario, the national target scenario, and the regional target scenario. Each scenario has increasing targets and also policies implemented, especially on the renewable energy and energy efficiency front. So the baseline is assuming no policy, the national target scenario or FEAPS, assuming the achievement of the national targets and also policies. The FES, meanwhile, filling in the gap that we found happening in resolutions in 2025 between the national target and the regional target. And then we also introduced for the first time the least-cost optimization, or the LCO scenario, in which we do what we call the technology-neutral approach, especially in the power generation sector, while keeping the applied targets in 2025. And the AO7 is covering the 2021 until 2050 projection period. And as also mentioned by our executive director, it has been launched by the 40th ASEAN Ministers on Energy meeting, or AMEM, around, I think, last month in Cambodia. Next slide, please. A little bit technical. So as you know, we model the systems as an overall. So it's not a specific systems in electricity only, in transport or in building only. So what we do in our model is that we utilize the projections of socioeconomics, including the populations and also the GDP, and see how it will evolve in the future. And to satisfy this demand, demand from the economy, how much of energy will be used in each and these sectors, covering the residential, transport, industry, and also commercial. And then once we know how much electricity, how much petroleum products required, we then do the calculations in the transformation sector, finding out how much coal, how much natural gas, crude oil will be required. And once we analyze this, so we build each of the 10 ASEAN member states their own model and then aggregate them into ASEAN model. We do the analysis to see what would be the projections of energy consumption, primary energy supply, our monitoring for renewable energy and energy intensity targets, also secondary analysis including emission, job creations, and also biofuel land use. Next slide, please. Just jumping into the results. First, we're gonna look at the primary energy supply of the ASEAN. We see that for the baseline scenario, the energy supply is expected to increase up to 4 times from 654 in 2020 currently to 2,647 MTOE in 2050. And then along with the increasing more ambitious scenario in terms of renewable energy and energy efficiency, the growth can be reduced up to 2.7 times, especially in the MES. This is noting the very, very, very importance of energy efficiency as a way for the countries, especially in Southeast Asia, to decouple between the growth of energy, the growth of economy with the growth of the energy. And then we also noted that in the LCO scenario, the demand can be reduced further until 2.5 times. On the right-hand side, we see what does it mean in terms of fuel shifting, especially in year 2025 or the target year of uphike. And we see that the APS and the MES showing a higher deployment of renewable energy as the countries approach their regional, national, and also regional target. But then when we move to the LCO scenario, we see coal is expected to increase, and we see there's a reduction in natural gas. Of course, this is noting the specific assumptions of price that we have in our model, especially in the next 3 decades. Next slide, please. Another very important analysis that we want to bring forward in today's discussion is in terms of import dependency. The regions has a lot of fossil fuels in their system, and continuing such trend from the demand side, while at the supply side, assuming there is no significant discoveries and or infrastructure, we projected that the region might become natural gas importer, a net importer as early as 2025. While for the coal, it is possible that the region become net coal importer as early as 2039. Of course, with a more, infrastructure of energy demand, such situation can be averted. Next slide, please. In terms of electricity generations, let's start from the capacity. Because the penetrations of renewable energy will be increasing from the whole sectors, hydro, solar, wind, and also biomass. But then what we noted is when we see the LCO scenario, we assume the emerging technologies being introduced, and these include nuclear, which reach 5 GW in 2050, and also a battery or the storage. It can be from battery, pump-up hydro storage, etc. And this is our very crucial component for the regions, especially for the variable renewable energy. We also shared the good news that in terms of installed capacity, the ATS or the national targets can achieve and even exceeded the regional RE installation target, reaching 37.9% in 2025. Next slide, please. We also noted that interconnection is very, very important. When we introduce the plans of interconnection as per ASEAN Parliament in our LCO scenario, those planned interconnection is selected by the model to be constructed as early as 2025, the first year that it is introduced into our model, and around like 6 GW of interconnection is possible in the country. In the region, sorry. Next slide, please. In terms of battery and storage, we see on the right-hand side, especially 26 GW of battery is required for the LCO scenario. And this storage is very important. If we see the daily charge and discharge of this storage, it will be very, very important, especially in the peak in the early morning and also in the late afternoon and evening while the charging is coming, especially for the nighttime, and also in the daytime where the production of solar especially is very, very high. And in terms of investment, again, securing energy transitions, basically meaning securing the energy investment. And we see that our scenario assume that in the baseline scenario, up to $1 trillion is required for the next 30 years. But then due to the reductions of energy demand and in turn electricity demand, the requirement for this investment can be reduced up to $726 billion in the APS scenario, and then it can be reduced even further in the LCO by $582 US. And on the right-hand side, we show the reduction of costs usually coming from the feedstock fuel, followed by the capital cost. Next slide, please. I think for the demand side, I would like to invite our chief editor, Vika Safina, to continue the presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zulfikar. After we hear about the projection of the ASEAN energy supply, now allow me to elaborate on the projection of the demand side. In line with the rapid economic growth, the regional energy demand is expected to triple by 2050 compared to 2020 levels. The national efficiency measures in ATS will help to greatly reduce total demand by 39.6% in 2050 compared to the baseline scenario. And then with the stronger regional efforts in APS, the avoided energy consumption could reach 53.7% in 2050. As you can see here, industry and transport sectors continue to be the highest energy consuming sectors. In terms of fuel, oil products remain the largest to be consumed, with 47% share in 2050 baseline scenario, and could be reduced to 38% in APS for the same year. Transport sector is still dominated by oil products, constitute about 91% of the energy consumption of transportation. All fuels are reduced with slight increase in the electricity and biofuel. Please note that the LCO scenario will have the same level with the FPS for all energy demand. So one of the ways to reduce fossil fuels consumption in the transport sector is through electrification. Overall, ASEAN could reach 641 million vehicles by 2050, contributed largely by motorcycles, about 60%, followed by the private cars, about 39%. Therefore, shifting to electric car and electric motorcycles could provide significant reduction in transport fossil fuels demand. Almost all IMS are in the early stage of electric vehicles adoption, but some countries already set ambitious targets, such as Thailand, who plans to achieve 30% EV in 2030, and also Singapore, who aims for 100% cleaner energy, public buses and taxis by 2040. So achieving all those national EV targets could result up to 9% penetration in private cars and 9% EV penetration in private cars and buses, 13% EV in motorcycles, and 4% EV in taxi cabs. In the residential sector, cooking takes up an average of 43% of energy consumption by 2050. It means shifting away from traditional biomass into more gas and electric cooking is essential to reduce energy intensity and greenhouse gas emissions. Not only clean cooking, energy efficiency policies in air conditioning and refrigeration can reduce energy demand by 16% for ATS and 29% for APS compared to the baseline scenario. It is found that average annual savings of LPG, wood, and charcoal in APS
are estimated to be 29%, 40%, and 58% respectively, compared to the baseline scenario. In terms of industrial sector, the highest energy user in industry is non-metallic mineral with 24%, followed by chemical with 12%, and iron and steel with 8% in 2050. The high percentage of non-specified demand, which is energy efficiency and conservation policies and programs. Energy demand for industry may reach up to 544 MTOE by 2050 based on baseline scenarios. You can see on the right side graph. With the attainment of national energy efficiency and conservation policies in the ATS, this demand could be reduced to 351 MTOE. And with the regional target in APS, it could even further reduce to 252 MTOE. If we talk about region-wise, it is not complete if we don't monitor the RE and EE targets as stated in the upside frame. In 2020, EI reduction made a good progress and reached 23.8% based on 2005 level due to the economic contraction caused by the pandemic. Even so, continuing the national targets in the ATS, IMS would not be able to reach its 2025 target, leaving a 2.8 point gap to the regional target. In the long term, the region is projected to reach 38.6% in ATS and 46.7% EI reduction in APS. It is interesting to see also with cost-efficient power sector in the LCO scenario, a higher EI reduction can be achieved in 2050 by 50.2%. Meanwhile, increasing install RE share in install capacity, RE share in TPS reached 14.2% in 2020. The same trend of national policy would result in such progress slowed down in the future, requiring more innovative measures to increase RE, especially in the end use sector. So based on the findings that we show in the previous slides, these are several recommendations to do to meet the APAC regional targets, especially in the demand side. First, higher EV targets and establishment of transportation electrification policies are needed to shift the fuel in transportation sector away from fossil fuels. Other than EV, vehicle fuel economy and mass public transportation could ramp up the efforts in transport sector as one of the largest demand consumers. Next, in the residential sector, the member states need to increase their clean cooking access. As of 2020, approximately 30% of the total ASEAN population still rely on kerosene and traditional biomass, such as wood, tree leaves, crop waste, and charcoal as their primary cooking fuel. So it will require more effort to achieve 100% clean cooking access by 2030, as mandated in SDG 7. Next, with the electricity consumption is rising, a higher energy saving could be achieved through the use of more efficient cooling and lighting appliances through MEPS, minimum energy performance standards, and also electrical equipment level. Finally, energy saving strategies in the industry sector may include raw material reductions and industrial efficiency improvements. Other than energy supply and demand, AU7 made analysis on the potential for green job creation. Following the strong RE deployment in APS, it is projected to provide up to 5.5 million RE jobs in the construction, installation, operation, and maintenance, with the mostly involved in the hydropower plants, and followed by solar plants. RE jobs creation in other scenarios such as ATS and LCO are slightly lower than in the ATS. This RE jobs addition is dominated by Vietnam and Indonesia. Among other secondary analysis in AS7, except the RE jobs creation, AS7 also has analysis on GHG emissions and land use for biofuel, addressing energy, climate, and energy land food nexus. In 2050, the annual GHG emissions from energy system would reach 6.7 gigatons CO2 equivalent in baseline scenario. This is without international transport. The amount is reduced with energy transition with more than half in APS to 2.9 gigaton CO2 equivalent. LCO scenario increase the emission a bit into 3.1 gigaton CO2 equivalent, mainly from the power sector. In terms of land use for biofuel, about 8.8 million hectares of land is required to produce biodiesel from the oil palm, and 2.3 million hectares for bioethanol from sugarcane. This total is about 2.5% of the AMS land mass. Biodiesel reduces while bioethanol increase in ATS due to the different policy setting in AMS. Now I would like to give it to Dr. Zulfikar to brief us about the policy recommendation.
Thank you very much, Rita. So based on those analyses, which of course can be seen in full in our report, there are a few notes that we would like to put. I think in first is in terms of the regional target, as we highlighted or we hinted during presentation and also the quiz. In 2020, the region did quite good, especially in the EI reduction and RE share in the TPS. They are projected to not yet reaching the target in 2025. Apologize for the typo there. But in terms of our installed capacity of renewables, it is expected to go beyond the target by 2.9%. And then we develop what we call the APS, or the regional target scenario. And basically, our recommendations in the power and also supply system. First, the renewable energy penetration should go beyond capacity, meaning it needs to be translated into higher generations so that it can contribute more to renewable energy TPS. All renewable energy options should be optimized. Whatever resources that we have need to be optimized, but especially for variable renewable energy such as solar and wind, storage will be very critical to be developed. And along with those, the modernizations of the grid and interconnection is very important, especially towards the stability, flexibility, and resiliency of the power system. And last but not least, we noted that securing energy should also consider geopolitics, of course, the availability of raw materials and also reserve. Meanwhile, moving to the end-use sector, I cannot stress more the importance of higher energy efficiency across all the end-use sector, in transport sector, the fuel economy, in building sector, the utilizations of energy efficient appliances in the industry sector, and the demand, it needs to be managed. So we have a more decoupling of this economic growth and energy, and electrification is also very important so that we can shift all of these oil products and also natural gas and coal away from the energy sector. Of course, along with the more greening of the power sector. And we also noted the importance of renewable energy in energy sector, and this is include, of course, more bioenergy, biofuel, biomass co-firing, utilizing solar for heating, etc. Our last message, noting that navigating a secure and resilient energy transition should be the theme of the ASEAN energy systems. many technologies, policy options out there, but those need to be assessed in a comprehensive way, how efficient it is, how is the availability of the resources, the capacity of the people within the region itself, and of course the end of life management. Just as a quick plan for us, since this IEO is going to be published again in 2024 of the AU8, we plan to do more scenarios, and between this time and that, we are more open and more willing to develop a lot of follow-up studies, be it the regional level, be it the national level, various kinds of scenarios. So please feel free to reach us for that. Next slide, please. Again, you can download our report here in go.aseanenergy.org/AO7. Thank you very much, and I give the floor back to our item 7.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zulfikar Yusnaidi and Ms. Rika Safrina, for the very thorough and detailed presentations. It is really exciting on the policy recommendation side. We heard the terms navigating energy securities and resilient energy transitions in ASEAN. Without further ado, I think it would be great to kind of like directly talk and hear from the experts themselves. We have all 8 panelists today. So we would have our ED directly to be the moderator of these sessions. I would like to invite Dr. Nuki Agiat Utama to the floor. And then we also have Dr. Andi Tirta, the Manager of Energy Modeling and Policy Planning for MDP. We also have online from Mr. Satya Buntara Supendi as the Manager of Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. We have here offline Mr. Benny Suryadi, the Manager of Power, Fossil Fuel, Alternative Energy and Storage here. And then we also have Ms. Ali Demoral as our lead modeler of AU7. Later on during the sessions, if you have any questions, you can click the Q&A sessions there in the Zoom, and then you can actually write them there, and then we will try to address them live. So I will select several questions that will be relatable to the sessions, and we would ask our experts answers. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Nuki Agiat Utama to host the session.
Thank you again, Amira. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening for everyone who's joining us today, wherever you are. Great opportunities again, and thank you for the expert presentation on the AU7 team lead and also the chief editors, Dr. Zulfikar and also Ms. Rika. Thank you very much. Perfectly done, and we are very proud of this ASEAN Energy Outlook 7, which is from ASEAN and to ASEAN. I also welcome our prestigious team lineup from ASEAN Centre for Energy. We have over here Dr. Andi Tirta.
Good afternoon, Dr. Nuki.
Good afternoon, Dr. Andi Tirta. And also joining offline, Mr. Benny Suryadi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Pak.
And joining online from Philippines, Ms. Ali Demoral. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Nuki.
And also right now in the Philippines, also joining online, Mr. Satya Buntara Supendi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Nuki.
So glad to be here. Everyone looks healthy and seems to be that the ASEAN Energy Outlook having a quite promising future with this young talent joining together on discussing the prospect and the futures of the energy sectors in Southeast Asia. So without further ado, just want to answer with the panelists. First question to Mr. Benny Suryadi. You only have 3 minutes to respond. Apologize for this time constraint. Please blame Amira. Don't blame me. I got message strongly from her. 3 minutes. ASEAN has been a net importer of oil since before 2005, which is approximately year 2000. And according to the AU7 baseline scenario, ASEAN will be a net importer of gas in 2025 and coal in 2039. 2025 is tomorrow, right? 2039 is the day after tomorrow. By implementing national and regional targets through ATS and APS, the year for gas net importers remain between 2025 and 2026. How does this impact the region's energy security in the future, especially in terms of oil and gas issues?
Thank you very much, Dr. Nuki, for highlighting the important issue on the energy security. For the last 2 years, we are experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic, the economic crisis, geopolitical pressure. With all of this situation, it is unlikely, whatever the scenario that we are forecasting for the next 3 or 4 years, it's unlikely a different path that we may encounter. This is where in the outlook that we identified that even though that we have a number of scenarios that we can still see that tomorrow, as you say, that the ASEAN will experiencing an issue as a net importer of natural gas. But beyond that period, we may be able to inject because the government is putting the policy, be it on the supply side or be it on the demand side with the measurement of energy efficiency and higher penetration of renewable energy, that we will able to lower the demands, we will able to bring more renewable energy on board, to push down the year that ASEAN become the net importers, while trying to figure out the efforts to sustain our energy supply. Thank you, Dr. Ricky.
Thank you. Thank you for the response. I think that's perfectly matched with what we also seen in this report. Thank you, Mr. Beni Suryadi. Next question, I will give it to Dr. Andi Tirta. 30 minutes, yeah?
3 minutes.
Sorry, 3 minutes. 30 minutes times 6. Regarding with the more stringent efforts in renewable energy and energy policies, especially on the APS and the coal will still exist in the region energy mix in 2050. Approximately around 7.5% share in total primary energy supplies and 10.6% in installed capacity. Meanwhile, solid global pressures exist to phase out coal to reach net zero emission by 2050. The question is, how do you think this projection impacts the ASEAN countries' commitment to realize their net zero or carbon neutral targets?
Yeah. Thank you so much for the questions, and also congratulate for the team, IO7 team of the ASEAN Centre for Energy for this work. To answer this one, actually, if we see the current conditions, then we have around 30% of our, let's say, installed power capacity around currently maybe around almost 300 gigawatt, and we have 30% of them is coming from the coal. And from the projection, it shows that in the APS, it's around 700 gigawatt, and only 10%. Actually, it shows the strong commitment of the ASEAN member states to do the decarbonizations in its power sector. So we see that the region is have a very strong and active commitment and implement the target in the energy sectors. It also, I think, it also inspires and also motivates the regions, especially all the countries that still have planned to install the coal power plant. They could currently consider to deploy the technology kind of like clean coal technology or CCUS to be deployed on their system. So it means that the target of the net zero and also the commitment to accommodate the climate change issue and also all the national determined contributions it will be matched in the next in the further decades later on. I think so, Dr. Nuki.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Dr. Andi Tirta. So my next question will be to Mr. Septia Buntara. Are you ready, sir? The IO7 modeling shows that ASEAN will not be able to meet its energy intensity, which is total primary energy supply divided by GDP, without policies to promote energy efficiency. So, and the ATS indicates that member states could achieve 29.27% reduction by 2025, but this still would not be enough to meet our target, which is 32% goal set by the APEC. So what type of energy efficiency policies and which sector should ASEAN vigorously enforce? 3 minutes, Mr. Septia.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nuki. I think that is very prominent points. Dr. Nuki and colleagues, I think what we need to move forward and to reduce more energy intensity is the understanding about the EE itself. We need all elements of our key players here, and maybe all people understand how EE application could be our safeguard during this economic recovery. The critical point about ENC is this is not merely about environmental benefit, but it could also provide us more advantage from economic perspective as well. Can we imagine when we're able to efficiently utilize our energy supply, how much cost we could save towards a better development, could be for health development or maybe other recovery. For your question, I think we could focusing the end users for the most cost-efficient measures, I think as identified from our outlook, followed by transportation, cooking, and cooling. This would create significant energy reduction in overall energy consumption, I think. The inclusion of fuel economy improvements, EV deployments, and mass transportation could ramp up the efforts in transport as one of our largest demand consumers. I think we also identified that in our outlook. Currently, labeling of efficient air conditioning and refrigeration units are some of the national policies and priority measures could be taken from the member states. However, improving the EE of the region would require financial drivers to fund the technologies. From our perspective, establishment of public-private partnership, including ESCO, I think will gain our momentum for us to achieve our 2025 target opportunity. This will increase e-applications. At the same time, it will reduce financial risk in ENC projects. This is quite important as well. And lastly, the strategic framework for formulating and implementing an ENC plan should be simple, practical, cost-effective, and most importantly, all elements, as I mentioned earlier, all stakeholders have similar kind of understanding and vision. We should remember ENC is one of fundamental in our energy development. That's my answer, Dr. Nuki. Back to you. Thank you. Sorry, Dr. Nuki, I think I lose your voice. Is it only me or other?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Septia. So my next question goes to Ms. Alni Dimoral. We all know that the least cost optimization or LCO scenario is a new edit and a unique scenario compared to the previous ASEAN Energy Outlook, especially the IO6. That could be, this scenario is could be beneficial for the ASEAN policymakers to plan based on the viable technologies. Could you please explain more details on the modeling approach of this scenario? And the next question is, although LCO scenario is cost effective, especially in terms of the power sector investment, however, it projects more fossil fuel share and more GHG emission compared to ABS. Do you think the affordability aspect can trade off the sustainability of the future ASEAN energy sectors? And how can these two factors be balanced? Two questions for you. Thank you.
Yes, first, thank you, Dr. Nuki, for that question, the questions. So actually the LCO, which is the least cost optimization scenario, was actually one of the suggested improvements from the previous ASEAN Energy Outlook, which I should mention is the AO6. So in AO7, the scenario was added and designed to explore the least cost power sector dispatch that meets the regional targets with a technology neutral approach, meaning that the model considers all the viable technologies in the region and was given freedom to dispatch or select those available technologies without bias, be it conventional technologies or emerging technologies, as long as the model deemed that it is more cost effective to do so. So for the current model that we have, we place emerging technologies as options such as nuclear power, CCUS, and battery and energy storage. And as you would notice, most of these technologies are not yet a part of AMS's energy mix yet, or at least as stated in their PDPs. So I believe that exploring the scenario, the LCO, is beneficial to policymakers in a way that they can be able to view an alternative pathways that does not necessarily follows the status quo. And given that the region, like ASEAN, developing regions like ASEAN is also wanting to ensure energy affordability, determining a mix that can be able to bring less production costs would highly be preferable. So yeah, I guess that also like gives into the second questions, yields into the second questions that you have mentioned, but on how we can actually balance the affordability and sustainability, which I personally believe is a tough question for anyone to answer. But personally, I believe that affordability and sustainability should not have an opposing relationship with each other. Like if we take a look at this type of angle, like energy affordability could actually make our region economy prosper, and having this prosperous economy, we can allow women and children to go to school, for example, and have proper education. And later on, this individuals, women and children could be pillars of our society and can actually bring sustainability that might even exceed what we were expecting from the energy sector. And following on that thought, as noted also earlier, right, in the presentation, that the ASEAN would need up to 5.5 million renewable energy jobs by 2050 if we would want to pursue our renewable energy target. And without capable workforce to put these targets into action, then energy transition would not also be possible. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for your explanation. Clear enough. Another question for Setia, if I may. The region is projected to reach a renewable energy share of only 14.4% of total primary energy supply by 2025. Little change from the 2020 value of 14.2%, and falling short of the target set in the ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation, Phase 2, 2021-2025. For example, the 23% target of total primary energy supply in 2025. What could the ASEAN member state do to realize this RE aspirational target?
Dr. Nuki, what I can say is this aspirational target is very challenging in the first place, not to mention the pandemic, economic situation, and so on and so forth. What we need to focus on is how to ensure this renewable energy development will also increase our energy security. We look at the current situation, the volatility of fossil fuel price. I think everybody here, we are affected by this situation. Economic issue due to war and pandemic, jobless, even food issue, they are still all here, all around us. I think what we can do as a solid region, let's not only pinpoint about potential and how single country can boost more and more renewable energy. Instead, I think now our time focusing more on synergy. I think this synergy could be meaningful for all of us related on renewable energy development activities. For instance, how we could achieve more interconnection and exchange power among member states using renewables plus the storage system. So lesser issue about over or below supply situation, how we could achieve supply and demand strategy among the member states. For example, like bioenergy, biodiesel, and bioethanol production. How collaboration among member states could reduce production costs, plus our discussion with technology provider to ensure applicability and quality of the fuel. This will affect much, not only to our energy, but also for economic recovery, I guess. And lastly, I would emphasize this, if I may. We acknowledge the strong support from dialogue partners and international organizations, Dr. Nuki, beyond our region to move towards renewable energy development. However, we need to remain our regional identity as priority approach, meaning we need to identify something or target which suitable with our regional condition or national condition. From potential angle, political angle, and also social aspect as well. Because at the end, the benefit of these developments are for the people as a whole in the region, as we are targeting under SDGs, no one left behind. I think that is my answer, Dr. Nuki. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Perfectly explained. My next question for Mas Beni Suryadi. The IO7 projection, nuclear, because you are handling the power sectors, including nuclear. Nuclear will enter into ASEAN power sectors or power generation near 2050. What do you think is the possibility of this alternative energy being accepted by the public? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nuki. The issue of acceptance, I think, is not unique for the case of nuclear only. It happened in many type of technology, whether we are speaking about the solar, or we are speaking about wind or hydrogen and everything. Nuclear is not an isolated case. There will be always acceptance, there will be always some rejection. But for us in this region, with the very diverse situation that we have, there's a countries that has enough renewable, but there is a countries that lack of the potential. Exploring all kind of option to fulfill our energy demand is a must. And that means that all type of fuels, including the nuclear energy itself. So that's why a number of countries in this region are seriously considering how to cope nuclear into the power system. Speaking of which, Indonesia and Philippines are among two countries already have some kind of regulations, readiness to adopt this kind of technology. And also in these two countries, we found, based on the survey that we conducted last year, there are more than 60% of the respondents are in the favor of the nuclear technology. Of course, it will vary depending on the level of knowledge, the level of understanding of this technology. But in general, that we see ASEAN, because we aim on the energy security, we aim for the energy accessibility, we aim for energy affordability. There is a strong favor to have a nuclear into the power system. And we may have it in 2050 or earlier that other countries are gearing up to this effort. So thank you.
Okay, well said. I think I do agree with you. The next question to Dr. Andi Tirta. During the development of ASEAN Energy Outlook 7, there were several challenges in terms of data collection, modeling work, and also modeling framework. What can be improve to create a robust outlook for ASEAN energy planning in the future?
Yeah, thank you for the questions, Dr. Nuki. We know that collecting data is very challenging in all the publication and also of all the research. For example, the team of the IO7, they have to come to visit all countries in the ASEAN member states, talk deeply with every single focal points from each countries. So, in my point of view, one of the most important one is always to increase the understanding and also the awareness about the data, the importance of the data in the countries. The second one, a bit technical, we also have to improve the quality of the data, the database system, the collecting data, and of course, the third one, the most important one, the most important things that I think need to be addressed is also the continuous capacity building for all the focal points in the ASEAN member states. As you know, that some people are coming in and also they're coming after several years. So of course, they have to inherit the good practice that already done by their predecessors, and also continuous improvement is also most important things in the collecting the data, and of course expand the data coverage in the next outlook. So that's, I think, will be challenge and also the expectations for the next outlook.
Okay, I do agree with you on this continuous capacity building.
Yes.
People are changing, but we need to have a continuous capacity building and also there's data standardization. So I got the message from the moderators and for this master of ceremony. We're going to have some question and answer session from the audience. So the first question that we gather coming from someone. Okay, to Andy and Benny. So perhaps 1 minute, Andy 1 minute, Benny 1 minute. ASEAN may be left behind in comparison to other regions if it fails to take energy transition seriously and with proper plan and measurable target. What is your views that we are, being left behind the other regions? Do you think that's true? Andy or Benny? Andy first. Benny?
Thank you, Dr. Nuki, and thank you for the question. I mean, it's not only happen for ASEAN. Anyone who doesn't take it seriously will be left behind. That's the case. And then the energy transition, as we all know, that is never ever an easy path. But it's also not a single pathway as well. It's always depend on the situation of each country. So ASEAN itself, as we all know, that the 10 countries has a different situation, have different characteristics. They are very seriously considering this energy transition. They are very seriously putting a plan to properly embark this energy transition journey. This might be seen by the outsider, you might say that as slower path, but as the ASEAN is taking this very seriously, to making sure that it's not only moving on one side and left the other part of the left people that are miserable. So it has to be a comprehensive, it has to be a just transition. So that's why the ASEAN can be sure that we are taking this effort very, very seriously.
Okay, thank you. What about you?
Yeah, in my personal opinion, actually, we are not in the race with other regions, but because the ASEAN itself already have their own plan with the ASEAN Plan of Actions for Energy Cooperations itself, that where the countries and also as the regions, we set certain targets in the energy sectors. The second one is, as I'm echoing what Benny said, that each countries, each IMS have their own characteristic. We also have the country, the region also have their own resources that maybe other countries don't have. Other regions don't have it. Like there's abundance of the coal, there's abundance of the mineral resources to support the battery industry. We also have some technology from some countries in ASEAN. And the third one, the most important one is actually we are not. There are more important things compared with the raising with other regions. The most important things about the energy security. So if we talk about the energy security, it will be the most important things without any interrupted supply for the consumptions for the ASEAN. And of course, the affordability, of course, it will be the most another things that should be considered, and also, of course, the accessibility and also sustainability will be another consideration. So that four consideration will be the most things that should be concerned of the regions. I think so.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Andi. So we still have opportunities for one other question. Two, I think, to Satya and Ali. Businesses have been talking about energy efficiency for around approximately 50 years. But still today we need to declare that energy efficiency is a must. Is there any effort being made to figure out why has not already stopped businesses using more energy than is actually needed? So please, Satya, you go first. 1 minute, please. After that, Ali.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nuki. As I mentioned earlier, we need to shift the approach to move forward energy efficiency. We need to be in line with the needs of our targeting stakeholder. What is the needs of the government? They need to have a better for their people and environmental target. And what is the needs from the business sector? Of course, they need cost saving, something like that. So we need to cluster the needs and make connection among of them. Another important point, as I mentioned earlier as well, we need to enhance more the role of energy service company, because by setting this business, we enable people to run and implement their energy efficiency in a professional way. One of the challenging right now is the environmental of the project setup itself. We discuss with them, with the stakeholders, and they really need and they're really keen to do the business. At the end, it able to reduce energy intensity. It provide the actual condition of the reduction. At the end, it relate with the needs of the business, with the needs of the government. And lastly, I think the crucial one to shift and change the mindset of the EE development to make change from the last 15 years. I think we need to establish more and more support in terms of financial support on energy efficiency. A lot of available support there at the global level. However, it needs to be streamlined. And the ASEAN Centre for Energy, I think, we are gaining our effort to streamline all the available financial effort from the global level to the appropriate needed stakeholder in the region. And we are really open for collaboration. I think that would be my answer, Dr. Nuki. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, Ali, go ahead.
Yes, I think Masavia actually covered all of the things that is actually like lacking into like pursuing this energy efficiency, because if we come to think of it, during the pandemic, there has been like changes already in the behavior of the people and how they were like wanting to pursue more greener options when it comes to sourcing this their like particular energy demand. And I think that probably what we would want as a region is to really like open up more mechanisms that would be able to have these specific demands, these specific markets to access this kind of development and programs, to also implement their own ENC strategies, like on a corporate level, for example, on that certain level. So yeah, I think we would need to have this more supporting mechanisms for these corporations to do that. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Satya and Ali. Perfect. I do have one last question for all. What are the big challenges for the region to activate all what they need to go towards a successful energy transition? And how can energy cooperation in ACE support that? So please, 1 minute for each. Please, Dr. Ali, you can go first.
Yeah, I believe that all stakeholders should sit together and talk what they could support and also what they could do in terms of making the energy plan and also implement what they already plan, and to be disciplined with what they have decided for the energy planning. So I believe with the cooperations from the private sector, from the academia, maybe of course from the region itself, it will give much benefit, and also like when we do it together, everything will be easier. So also in the energy sectors, I believe when the regions become very solid as a regions and be disciplined with what APIC milestones and also all the plans, I believe we could ease many challenges ahead. I think so.
Okay, thank you. What do you think, Pak Beni?
Thank you, Dr. Nuki. I 100% echo what Dr. Andi mentioned, that bringing everyone, the big challenge is bringing everyone to the same room, sitting together to fully acknowledge that this is the problem for everyone.
Yeah.
This is not only the problem for developing countries, it's not the problem for developed countries only, that is a problem for everyone, that we have to fully acknowledge this situation and then fully embrace the collaboration for the benefit for all, not only benefit for one single party or the other party or blaming each other.
Mhm.
It has to be recognized.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. What do you think, Mr. Satya?
Thank you so much, Dr. Nuki. I think both Mr. Benny and Dr. Andi covered a very good point. What we need to do, we need to be solid as a region. A lot of trends coming into our region to move forward into this scenario and that scenario in energy development, but we are the one who know what our needs. And we need to set priority as well, Dr. Nuki. What we need to translate, what is the end game of each trend, of each development, greener energy development? What is the end game? The end game is actually for the people itself. So as a country, we need to be solid. We need to make a very good synergy, and we have the APIC now in the region, and we can focus on that and make other region or maybe other partners to focus on those targeting planning. So at the end, I believe by this we able to achieve our target, and at the end we able to provide better benefit for our people. Thank you, Dr. Nuki.
Okay, thank you. What do you think, Ms. Ani?
Yes, definitely echoes all of the answer of the managers, but I think when I was doing the modeling, I can really see that how the improvement of one country can actually be something that is immutable, something that other countries can also be emulated. And when I was also doing the modeling of the ASEAN power grid, I can see how this reduction of one country could actually be also beneficial to other countries. So meaning that if we are going through this energy transition on a regional level and not just on our specific national level, we can actually do something more than what a country can do on its own. So yeah, I think that is important that we know this as a region.
Thank you. Thank you. I think a perfect answer from all of you. So before closing, I want to really summarize on this very delightful session. Again, I think the keywords of this session will be collaboration and cooperation. It's very important. So data standardization, continuous capacity building, and I agree with the panelists from Penny, no silver bullets, no one fits all. And every region have their own uniqueness, their own potential of energy supply, so we cannot compare one to another. There is no competition between one to another, of course, between regions. And again, energy security is important, affordability is even more important. So we also, I'm also noting here that we all become the net importers of oil and gas, including coal. And to maintain our economic growth, then we have to really use the efficiency efforts. both in the power generation and also industrial sectors, including in the end users, like, for example, the transportation sectors. And then stakeholders should also participate: industrial efficiency, cooling system, transportation system efficiency. It is also needed to be addressed. And again, on the efficiency message, that the financial support is important, because many industrial sectors having difficulties on tapping this problem or solving this problem. And then on the modeling itself, the least-cost optimization is beneficial since it's giving the alternative pathways to member states, and also affordability and sustainability approach should not be conflicted one to another. I think I do agree that it should be combined together, and we can find out the best option and giving this solution to the member states. And maintaining stability on the power sector by having a battery part of the storage system. It is also important in having us for having being connected to the transmission line. Again, thank you very much for the panelists. And one important thing is that we need to understand that energy security, meaning the energy diversification and variety of energy supply. So we have to tap off the potential in Southeast Asia, because ASEAN, with increasing demand in 2050, almost 3 times, and we will become the 4th largest economy in the world. So ASEAN do not want to be part of the problem in the future, but ASEAN want to be part of the solution, because we do have a lot of natural resources. Again, big applause for all panelists. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Back to you, Ms. Amira. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nuki Agiutama, for hosting such a delightful and very fruitful talk show. It was very pleased as well for us to have all of the 4 managers here, 3 managers and 1 lead modeler of AU7. Apologize. And then we would have okay, apologize for the okay, so let me try one more time. So thank you so much for all of the speakers today. Dr. Nuki Agiutama, thank you so much for hosting such a fruitful sessions. We have now come to the end of the sessions, but before that, may I ask for our operator to share our screen? Han, can you share the screen? Next, please. Okay, so for the next event, after we heard several things that we learned from AU7, there are 4 upcoming events that would actually feature AU7 from different kind of like angle. The closest one would be the Singapore International Energy Week. AU7 would be there to explain a little bit more about the energy dynamics in Singapore. And then afterwards, we would have sessions as well in Asia Nuclear Business Platform on 1st November. And then we also have an AU7 webinar series. So this event will not be the only one. We would have, we would try to explore several angles that we can throughout the next couple of months. So the next one would be on mid-December 2022. And then afterwards, we would have an AU7 ASEAN member states country launching. Hopefully, we can actually cover all of the ASEAN member states for a sustainability of information as well as capacity building. Next one. And if you want to reach out to us for AU7 media coverage, project collaborations, you can actually reach out to us at my email as well as our contact persons here. So please, if you want to, if you are interested to reach us out, please screenshot this page. And then next one, please. And then, because we have come to the end of this delightful webinar, ACE would like to thank all of the participants for joining us today. And we also would like to encourage all of you to download the 7 ASEAN Energy Outlook, which you can download through your phone now. So you can actually have a scan barcode there, or go to go.aseanenergy.org/AO7. And if you want to know more about our events, please go to www.aseanenergy.org or all of the social media shown in the screen. So looking forward to seeing all participants to the next AO7 webinar series, or maybe directly offline sessions in one of the mentioned before event. And please stay tuned to ACE social media for further announcements. And wishing you a blessed day, stay healthy amidst this pandemic, and stay safe. Goodbye. Bye-bye, everyone.
ASEAN Centre for Energy presents the 7th edition of ASEAN Energy Outlook, or AEO7. It complements the APAEC by creating pathways to achieve regional energy targets. This blueprint consists of 7 program areas, which represents the key focus areas of the ASEAN energy sector. Over the years, ASEAN Energy Outlook has evolved to be truly from ASEAN, by ASEAN, to ASEAN. As it incorporates major involvement from all 10 ASEAN member states in every process, AEO7 serves as an official reference for the ASEAN energy landscape. This year, AEO7 features these 4 scenarios. Introducing the latest edition, the Least-Cost Optimisation scenario with a technology-neutral approach as it considers all the viable technologies in the region. It also explores ASEAN power grid and battery deployment. Some highlighted findings include: renewable share in total primary energy supply is predicted to reach 17.5% by 2025 in ATS, requiring extra efforts to reach regional targets. And energy efficiency is projected to continue its good progress. But with 2.8 percentage point gap from ATS to regional target still needs to be addressed, while renewable share in installed capacity is expected to outperform the 2025 target by 2.9%, even reaching 63.2% in 2050. Moreover, the region will be requiring $160 billion power investment to reach the APAEC target by 2025, reducing the emission up to 26%. While LCO scenario consistently generate the lowest cost. The Outlook also offers various secondary analysis to achieve the regional target and delve into options for strengthening ASEAN's energy resiliency as follows. With everything in one place, AEO7 keeps the region on track by projecting multiple future trajectories against our goal. To learn more about ASEAN Energy Outlook series, please visit our website at aseanenergy.org. ASEAN Centre